I'd like to call to order the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District meeting. Today is Monday, December 2nd. It is 6:32 p.m. The notice requirements of section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code and implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Roll call.
Paroli here.
Fullerton here.
O'Neill here. Stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting minutes pending approval. We've got 3 meetings. Our regular November meeting was on the 4th last month. We had a special meeting on Election Day in the garage, and a week or so ago had a emergency meeting to discuss repairs to one of our trucks. But you gentlemen have received all of the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Any questions, comments?
No.
Edits? I had just one edit on page 3 of the November 4th minutes. It was Chase Burmeister's name was spelled incorrectly, so I told Kristen about it, and other than that, I don't have any other. Motion to approve?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All 3 meeting minutes are approved. Consent agenda. You have both received all the reports for the consent agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Questions, comments, anything to discuss?
I do not.
No.
Do we have a motion to approve those?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Laura, fiscal.
I have a couple things. So I met with Jared from Westfield Bank last month to get the Micker reader set up and the logins established. I'll just say that having 2 checking accounts is proving to be quite challenging, and that local government services is involved because it is something they haven't seen before, to have 2 checking accounts within UAN. So currently, we have a balance of $470.50 in Westfield. That was the test deposit of the 3 checks that I put in with Jared. And the rest of the money is still going into Huntington until I hear back from local government services. So just to keep you guys abreast.
Okay.
I passed out a resolution to increase funds and appropriations for more money received than anticipated. On the township side, that is $381,000 and some change. And on the fire district side, it's $97,000. So if I could have a motion to increase the funds and appropriations for those, I will send them over to Kristen for our end of year certificate.
I would move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, did you guys want to talk temporary appropriations tonight? Are you ready?
I think we were all gonna try to meet to discuss that, but maybe can we come up with a date agreeable for the 3 of us to sit down?
Yeah, sure.
What's good for you guys?
I'm fairly open, so I mean, I'll let you guys.
Can we start with any Monday?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll throw out the 16th.
What day is it?
12, 16, good with you?
What time are we trying to do?
I don't know if it might be rather long if we're gonna go through line items.
I would start it earlier myself, just because it will be long.
Yeah, I mean, I could do any time after 8:15.
How about you?
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
in the morning. You mean.
I could start as early as 8:15, so whatever.
I'm good.
If you guys want to do something during the day, we can.
9 o'clock?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we will have a special meeting to include, to at least include temporary appropriations. on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 9 a.m. here in this building. Anything else for fiscal, Laura?
The SPCA has, sent their yearly donation solicitation. Typically, we donate $2,500. It's up to you guys.
Discussion on that?
Well, I mean, I said it last year and I'll say it again. I mean, from a philosophical standpoint, I think there are tons and tons of great, charities and organizations that are out there, but I don't feel that it's appropriate for us to be using taxpayer funds for that purpose. I think we could poll the community and you'd get a number of different responses as to who they would or wouldn't want to. There are plenty of other things that we could use that money for, or, give it back to the taxpayers by reducing their taxes. Just my take on it.
John?
Last year we gave quite a bit.
Yep.
I mean, Laura's right, it's typically around 2,500. I could go either way. I mean, I would make a small donation, but, and I could forego this year as well.
I kind of feel the same way. If we don't have a motion to, we can move on. Okay. Laura, anything else?
Nope, that's it, thank you.
Service, just a couple of things. You've seen the Rich report. A couple of highlights in here. I think he's talked to each of you. I know he's talked to me about starting to stockpile some slag for chipping and sealing next year on Lance and Coon Club. So he's got a pretty good price on it, and if we allow them to haul it in over the winter time, that'll cut us a deal on it, $36 a ton. I don't know how soon, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, because he's able to transport it on a backhaul
Right.
as opposed to
Right.
paying full freight, yeah.
So, look, it's probably gonna be around $25,000. We've got that this year. I don't know how quickly they'll start doing it. That is probably something we'll need to keep in our mind as we do temporary appropriation, because I'm sure they will start doing it. But if we wanna do some of it this year, or they want to, I would make the motion to approve up to $20,000 for getting the slag delivered.
Oh, Chris, let me go back a bit. How many ton did he say he needed?
700
And where's he gonna put 700?
in the yard down there. He's got
The
some
yard
good-
here or on
the township.
Okay. No, yeah, I believe it's the right time to do it. Backhauls always save us
And this
money,
is
so.
basically a contingency. I don't know if he's gonna, I forget the gentleman's name, but I don't know if he's gonna have the time to do it in December, but in case he wants to, I'd like to be ready to roll with it.
Well, what did you say the rate was per ton? 36.
36.
So do we, I mean, if Rick needs 700 ton, do we wanna just authorize the full amount, so that should he have, I mean, we both know he's probably not gonna be able to get that much
Right.
between now and then, but if we're gonna need it anyway,
We could do
do
it.
we wanna just authorize? I mean, is that right?
Yeah, 25.2 would be it.
Let's see.
Yeah, so I guess 25 covers it, essentially.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll second.
All those,
You made the motion, right?
yes. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries on that. And then one other thing, of interest, the pastor at the church next to Watts, the Methodist Church, they'd like to have a parking lot installed, and a gravel lot installed towards the rear of their lot. And they wanna know if they paid for the stone, if Rick would be able to spread it and install it. And it would be a benefit for us, because parking can be very tight there for burials, they're not associated with the church. So
Right.
he thought it would be a good idea. It really wouldn't cost us anything up and beyond, Rick's time and a few days for the equipment. I think overall it'd probably be well under a week to do it.
Part of the parking lot though is technically on church property though, not township property.
Most of it is on church property, some of it would be on, there's an easement that they have to get back there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there isn't any issue with us, doing work on private property, I don't see why there would be any problem with
I don't
that.
think so, maybe a win-win situation for them, so.
They're extending it to the back, or,
Yes.
cause he's gonna have to dig topsoil and stuff out.
Yeah, and they're gonna extend it to the north, where they are
Yeah,
now.
okay.
There's a small, pavilion back there, so it'll be north of that. But, I would just it's not even a dollar amount, I would just make the motion to allow Rick to do that, as time allows this winter. Obviously, roads are gonna come first, but
Right. Oh, he's planning on doing it.
I don't know the exact timing, but.
But when he can fit it in,
When he
that they're not
Right.
obligated to other township
Right.
needs.
Yeah, right.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I don't really have anything else, actually. Hang on here.
Indigent.
Yes, we've got, indigent burial. Normally, historically, we pay $1,000, I think, per burial, or for cremation. It normally comes through weight 9 times out of 10, I think, but this is from, Hummel in Akron. But, Rick just asked if we would approve that same service. They wanna take the cremains back with them, but, there's really no cost to us. I mean, they're not gonna open a grave site, they're not gonna take
So what are we approving?
$1,000 for indigent burial.
Yeah, I would make the motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. And, that's it for,
Before, real quick, I talked to Rick previously, and so I don't know if you have had an opportunity to speak with him about it, and maybe in advance of our meeting for budgeting. One of the things that I had asked Rick about was, obviously some of the larger road projects that need to be done aren't something that we do every single year, but because of the dollar amount, they're things that we probably need to budget for every year. I know we mentioned, depending on how the winter goes, Lance is potentially gonna need some work, Coon Club potentially as well. So, can you work with Rick, and he may already have them, but to get some kind of preliminary ideas of what those costs would be,
Yes.
so that we can kind of work that into our meeting
Yeah.
on the 16th to start setting some money aside for those. 'Cause those
he's
are gonna
reached
be-
out to the engineers too,
Okay.
so they're gonna give him some information.
Okay, excellent.
Hopefully they have it by then, but.
Right.
Chief, fire.
We had 55 calls in the month of November. So 1 in Chatham Township, 2 in the city of Medina, 43 in Lafayette Township, 6 in Chippewa Lake, 1 in Lodi, 1 in Seville, and 1 in Westfield Township. 32 were during the day and 23 at night. About 80% of those calls were EMS calls. Our average turnout time was 1 minute and 58 seconds, and on-scene time was 5 minutes and 12 seconds. Pretty darn good. We gave mutual aid to Medina City twice, Seville once, Westfield once, and Chatham once, and we received mutual aid once. We hosted the Learning Garden preschool daycare for a safety talk and fire engine tour. Firefighter Tara Powell, Firefighter Kelly Parker, and Assistant Chief Holzman visited quarterly schools and showcased firefighting EMS as a career path. Students were able to see our equipment, try our gear, and the group discussed future careers in fire and EMS. And some department updates. This month we completed our annual driver abstract report on all our employees. No issues or concerns found on the reports. No speeders, which is good. Met with Fallsway and Akron with Ty. They have certified EV technicians. We discussed best practice for vehicle maintenance and services they offer. And we met with Horton, Braun, Lifeline, and Atlantic Ambulance sales representatives. We have 4 separate quotes for ambulance purchases for consideration. You guys have copies of those quotes. And I'm just, recommending, I don't know if we wanna have a discussion about how we wanna fund that or going forward, or if we're gonna allocate funds to a specific line item for an ambulance purchase in the future. Just asking. I'll keep going. So, and my idea is to at least put a couple $100,000 into a line item each year. And then and also use the EMS funds, which is about $130,000 to $150,000 a year. Put that into a specific line item for ambulance purchases in the future, so, that could fund our ambulance purchases for the this ambulance purchase, and then the, next ambulance purchase possibly, so. I also, in your files, I included a evaluation process. I've included in your folders a new evaluation process for all our fire department employees. I've found no history of evaluating our staff, and I believe it's important to do this for growth of the individual as well as the department as a whole, so I'd like to implement a evaluation program, so performance evaluation, biannually, most likely. New job descriptions for officers. I've also included in the folder new job descriptions for our officers. As we grow as a department, we need to have dedicated professionals leading the way. These job descriptions are standards to reach for all of our officers, the officer corps, so. And then I'd like the board to consider removing the overnight stipend in the near future, and begin paying hourly immediately. I know we kind of did the math on it, and it's really not much of a not a huge ask, so it's one of the things. And then other things on my agenda, I'd like to appoint Allison Provance to the department. Is if you guys could, she was interviewed a few weeks ago. Great individual. She's a basic EMT. She's finishing firefighter level 2 at Stark State next week. She has her final test. She's also a Navy Reservist hospital corpsman, and she'll be a valuable resource to our department. And I'd like the board to accept the resignation of Shane Jenkins. He's a firefighter EMT. He has served on the department for 15 years with Lafayette Fire Department. He has recently been working more with his family business, and his time commitment to the department has been a struggle. So. And last thing I'd like to ask of you guys is to consider the appointment of Pete Muha as our next captain. We interviewed him about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, actually about 2 months ago now. Out of the 4 candidates, Pete came out on top unanimously. And I'd like to start his pay with whatever you guys suggest. It'd be $26 an hour is what we put in the job description, so that's all I have. I was gonna do a presentation tonight, but the Browns are playing, so you guys have to wait until.
3-8 Browns.
Chris, I think why the chief's still up there, definitely want the chief at the meeting on the 16th and Rick, so they can represent their departments and help us.
Yeah.
For sure, and then we can go over the captain's rate, we can go over the stipend stuff at that time. We can get all that
Can
talked
we,
out.
is it a special meeting, can we appoint and do that kind of thing? I'd like, I mean, okay, we could do that at that meeting, okay.
16th, yeah. Then I would make the motion to bring Allison Province onto the department.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
And on a sad note, I would accept the resignation of Shane Jenkins.
I'll second.
Yeah, sadly, hate to see him go, but all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Motion carries. So we'll plan on the 16th discussing Pete Muha, stipend, et cetera.
Stipend, and then we can go over the quotes. And the line there, but I think it's important.
Yeah, so you're gonna table the other 2 though? We don't need it.
I mean, I was hoping that, so we're struggling with people overnight still. I mean, this December schedule is no different than summer schedule and holidays, and we're not getting people to spend the night, and it's $6,000, $6,134 of funds we would use to pay for the stipend for the rest of the year.
Laura, I'm sorry, go ahead,
Go.
chief.
No, I'm just saying that it's a very, very difficult struggle, and we have gaps in the schedule towards Christmas and the New Year's, and whether you pay them time and a half or not, we're still like, well, I'm only getting paid 18 hours.
Laura, we've got, I think it was 30, what did we say, chief, 36.5 still left for salaries to get through December. If we increase 6,000 to pay the full 24, does that leave you enough to meet payroll for the rest of the year?
But we just, cause you have to factor in the,
Payroll taxes.
Medicare, Social Security, and the appropriate additional federal and state taxes too.
Okay. But we just added 77,000 to the general fund
Right,
for fire.
so we can appropriate that to the salaries.
How much, so an additional, if it's an extra 6, payroll taxes another 1,500?
Probably, and Scott's overs.
Well, yeah,
Probably appropriate an additional 10,000,
it'd just be,
that'd be enough.
well, we've actually already appropriated
We did,
a
so
77, so.
we don't, we just need to just make
We
a
just-
decision.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna, that was why we put the levy on the ballot, the voters approved it. If it's gonna solve the staffing, or at least
I'm
help
hoping it
alleviate
solves-
some of the
yeah.
stress on the staffing
Right.
issue, I think that's what the residents would want us to do.
I would agree.
So I'd make the motion to move to 24-hour staffing immediately, or pay 24-hour staffing, eliminating the stipend immediately.
Immediately, yep, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
So question, Brian, does that mean that they're just gonna get their straight salary for however many?
Yes, they
hours?
wouldn't get us, they won't get the stipend any longer, they'll just get their
Okay, just a
straight salary, hourly
like
rate.
18 hours.
So we'll save that money,
Well,
that's
it'll
why
be-
it's only about $6,134, you minus that $60 a day for the next 31 days,
Okay,
and.
But it'll be for the 24-hour, like,
Right.
their full 24-hour shift.
okay.
Effective immediately,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, hey, if that's okay with you, I
Yep.
appreciate that, and I think the firefighters will definitely appreciate that, so, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I guess the other one is, do we really need to table Pete on the captain? I mean, Ty, you got to sit on in the interviews with, it was you, Chief, and Assistant Chief Holtzman, correct?
Yes.
I mean, are there any,
Uh,
do you have any reservations
Oh,
about?
I have 0 reservations, I just thought we would have more number crunching.
What,
I mean, you wanna appoint him tomorrow, or are you gonna appoint him January 1st?
He's the interim captain right now, he's acting interim, so, I mean, unofficially.
and based on his
he's-
credentials, his hourly pay rate is what, do you know
It's
offhand?
20 an hour right now is
Okay.
the basic pay rate, so. The job descriptions that I think we talked about the captain job description before we went through the process, and it was at $26 an hour at that point. So, I don't know.
And
He works, so on that job description, it's 16 to 24 hours a week.
okay,
So he'd probably work 16 or maybe a 24 a week.
so even if you max it out, we're talking about 100 hours between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, and I don't think he's.
And if.
He's got small kids and he's a.
Well, right, but I'm just trying to say from a dollar amount standpoint, we're talking about less than $1,000
Yeah.
difference between what he's currently making on his shift. If there aren't any reservations about Pete being the right guy for the captain, I'd say I would make the motion to approve Pete Muha as the captain.
Yeah, I'm good with that, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye? Ty?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
I appreciate you guys, thank you. Is that all you have? Any questions?
I'm good.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Markman?
I don't have anything in addition to the monthly report unless you guys have questions for me.
I don't. Ty, you have questions for fire?
Do not.
Zoning.
Zoning. Year-to-date, zoning fees, 51,778.31 compared to total 2023 of 41,207.76. Again, it's been an extremely busy year. A lot of that, the total valuation is actually down. So the permit fees are up significantly, about 25%, but valuation's down due to the fact that a lot of the permits that we're processing are fences, patios, the smaller fees and not as many new buildings. And that's probably gonna be kind of the new reality for a while as the developments have been done. We've had, and I know you guys have seen the emails, we've got several nuisance properties that are kind of working through the process. We'll probably need to look at after the beginning of the year, and maybe sooner, having public hearings potentially to review some of those. But Sherry's still working with local agencies, including the city PD, to collect some footage so that we can make those determinations. So look for that over the next 60 days, 90 days. And then I know she sent out an email. We have expiring zoning commission and BZA seats. Diane Winslow's term's up. She is not looking to be reappointed, so her seat is gonna be open. Simon Bartos on the BZA, his term expires December 31st of 2024. He would be interested in staying, so that'll be something for us to review at the organizational meeting. We obviously had 2 alternates on both boards. Brian Morse, Nick Kittle on the zoning commission, Julie Stanton and Robert Fertile on the BZA. Those were 1-year terms. They're both interested in staying a part of our zoning team, so again, we can look at them for fulfilling the vacant seats, and then if we do move one of them or both of them up to either of the spots, we'll obviously have alternate positions to fill, right? We did get resignation for Rich Dvorak, our current zoning commission chair. His term expires December 31st of 2027. So along with the full 5-year term position that Diane Winslow is vacating, we will have 3 years for Rich's seat that'll need to be filled. And then Mike Meaden on our Board of Zoning Appeals. Yeah, he's really been struggling with balancing his current work schedule with being able to be available. It didn't create an issue because we had alternates that are available, but at this point, he expressed an interest in resigning as well, just because he didn't feel that it was fair to the rest of the
He was teeter
members.
last year.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we've got another year of experience from a lot of people, and the 2 alternates that we had, both Julie and Robert, have done a fantastic job. His seat will be available, so we'll have an appointment for 2 years left on his term that we'll need to consider for the BZA. So between our 4 alternates and Sherry and Karen interviewed at least one other candidate that I think they forwarded information to everybody for too. So we have some good people to consider, and then obviously if anybody else is interested, definitely would be an opportunity or a time to reach out to Sherry and express an interest in joining one of those boards. That's everything for zoning.
Okay. Public comment? None? Okay. Correspondence. Following last month's meeting, we received a handful of letters from the prosecutor that had been sent to them regarding public comment and new rules that we're reviewing now. I'm not gonna, read the names of the senders or anything. Prosecutor's office has responded and said they are not going to respond to them. They represent the Board of Trustees here of the township. But I don't think that the letter itself was real reflective of reality. It says that concerned with overreach. Well, I'll read it. I'm a resident of Lafayette Township and have recently become aware of a request sent to you from Trustee Chris O'Neill, Lafayette Trustee Board Chair, asking to place increased restrictions on public comments during open meetings. And I didn't I'm not asking the prosecutor's office to do that. That's not their role, and, you know, they don't really grant the authority, they just counsel us. And I'm not looking to put any restrictions on public comments anyway, other than just to add some order to the session. It goes on to say, I've seen a copy of this request, and I am very concerned by the overreach, subjective language, and First Amendment restrictions being requested by Trustee O'Neill. I really don't think there are any restrictions there, other than we'll review the prosecutor's comments on those rules, but I don't really think there's anything that's too overbearing, other than maybe, as we'll see, obscenity or harassment or something like that. But Trustee O'Neill has on several occasions suspended public participation at the monthly trustee meetings with no other cause than to shut down the public from speaking on topics he does not wish to have discussed. I don't think that's true at all. I think one time this year we did not have a public comment period. I think that was our September meeting, and that was not directed at anybody or any group or anything. It was implemented across the board. Public comment is not a guarantee at trustee meetings. There's no requirement to have them. And so that was one time. And other than that, I've never shut anybody else down. I've never really done anything to stop anybody from speaking. Based on my findings on the rules set forth by the Ohio Attorney General concerning open public meetings, public comments can only be suspended with a specific cause. Trustee O'Neill has shut down public comment on several occasions without reason or specific cause. Again, that's untrue. It was one time, and it was for the cause of just to keep order, because it had gotten a little out of hand the previous meeting. These new restrictions he is requesting is just a way to circumvent the rules set forth by the Ohio Attorney General's office and to deny freedom of speech to the residents of Lafayette Township. I respectfully request that you deny Trustee O'Neill's request on this subject. Again, the prosecutor's office wasn't going to approve or deny. That's not what they do. We would have to approve the rules or whatever anyway, but there is no attempt at all to deny anybody's freedom of speech whatsoever. I think he forwarded a response from the Attorney General as well. I thought I had it in here, yes. Thank you for contacting the Attorney General's office. Ohio is a home rule state, meaning no state elected official has the authority to oversee the day-to-day operations of another elected official. Consequently, the Ohio Attorney General's office does not have authority over any law enforcement office, a city's mayor or city officials, village or township trustees, the county's commissioners, or civil officials. Consequently, while we understand your concerns, our office is authorized only to represent state agencies, boards, and commissions rather than private citizens. For that reason, we cannot intervene on this matter. So you can consult an attorney, but I just don't think there's no overreach, and there's no attempt here to shut down anybody's First Amendment rights. And you guys have both received responses from the prosecutor's office as well, right?
Yes.
That's really the only correspondence I have, but under unresolved business, then I'd like to just discuss the public comment rules. You guys have both seen them. Does anybody have any comments on them? Any feelings one way or another on them?
When don't I have? No. I mean, look, it's always, to me, it's always a difficult situation when you're dealing with these types of things, because I definitely understand the desire to keep decorum and to have a efficient and effective meeting. At the same time, being able to come to a meeting and express your opinions and your thoughts, even if they're not ones that we want to hear, even if they're not always the most flattering. I mean, it's one of the core tenets of our country. So to me personally, I err on the side of, pretty much anything goes. As much as we may not like it, I don't even honestly like the 5-minute limit that we have in place now, but I understand, the fact that it has to be uniform. So if you don't have a 5-minute limit, technically somebody could get up here and filibuster the entire meeting. So, So I, outside of that though, I mean, I think you're just inviting more problems than need. I mean, obviously tonight we didn't even have anybody interested in speaking, so.
First time in quite a
Well,
while.
right, exactly, and, you know, it won't be like this all the time, but, you know, I'm probably not gonna be in support of any further restrictions.
Just not sure that there are even restrictions. I mean, it's just a basic rules and conduct, I mean, it's.
Yeah, there's no restrictions on what to say at all.
Well, no, but I mean, you know, to your point, you know, each speaker will be, one of the proposals was, you know, point 2, public comment shall not be frivolous or repetitive or harassing in nature. Speakers may not promote any political party or candidate at any level. That's a restriction on speech. I mean, I'm not saying it's with nefarious intent, but that's absolutely a restriction. It's also very subjective. I mean,
And it
what's
also-
frivolous to one person is not frivolous to somebody else. You know, and while the board can't engage in politicking, you know, for somebody to get up and say they're for or against a certain issue or agenda or, you know, candidate, I don't see how that isn't, you know, bordering on infringing on their right to free speech. You know, again, the proposed rule number 3, the proposal was each speaker will be provided 5 minutes or 3. Well, the numbers go back and forth, right? There's been 3 and 5, but then an extension of time may only be granted by a majority vote of the board. Again, now we're picking, well, if it's something that everybody on the board's willing to listen to, they can speak more, but if, you know, and I'm not saying that's the intent, but that's easily, I can absolutely understand where people.
That's a restriction on the time. It's not a restriction.
Well,
on the
right, but
content.
it's also a restriction on the time that at the board's discretion can be changed. Like, there shouldn't be any discretion involved. If we're gonna have rules, 100% uniform across the board, period.
Right.
But like I said, I think this is a solution in search of a problem, more than a problem that's an ongoing problem. You know, but that's just me.
And to be frank, I mean, there's really honestly very few edits by the prosecutors.
Right, no, I agree.
Office themselves.
I'm not saying that these aren't things, you know, and it's not, it doesn't get into the specifics, so I think he would be okay with me, you know, sharing it, but one of the things that comes up often in conversations when I've had the opportunity to sit down and speak on these different issues with, you know, Prosecutor Thompson, there's a big difference between what you can do and what you probably should do. And I think this is one of those types of situations, right? Like, can we put further restrictions in? Could we put these rules into place? Yes, we could. I think it sends the wrong message. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, whether it's the intent or not, this is why we signed up to do this job. If somebody wants to come and sit here and if 300 people want to come in and each speak for 5 minutes, then that's what we signed up for. I mean,
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I just don't think that we should be allowing the speakers to engage audience
Well, yeah,
members,
that's-
for example. I mean, that's
that's
just
perfectly
not
fine.
something that should be done. And I mean, well, that's an example of one of the rules here, right? I mean, that's.
Justin, would you wanna take a couple out? I mean, leave some in?
I mean, quite frankly, the only one that I think really matters is, I mean, to Chris's point, it's a valid one, right? Like, if you're gonna speak, you're speaking, and nobody in the audience should be interrupting, and if you wanna direct comments at the board, or the elected officials, or an employee of the township, I mean, we're all fair game, because that's what you're here for.
Anybody can talk.
But, you know, if you wanted to do something along those lines, as far as like the, you know, rules of decorum, then fine, but outside of that, I don't see the need for any of the rest of these, but that's just my take.
Do we want to read them?
Well, probably makes the most sense, that way everybody, I mean, I don't know that everybody here's seen them, we can address them
Right.
one by one if you want, I have no problem
Well,
with that.
if you're gonna read them, I would read the prosecutor's comment
Sure.
on each section.
Well, the beginning of the opening is Lafayette Township Board of Trustees recognizes the value of public participation on township and fire district issues, as well as the importance of allowing members of the public to express their concern on matters of community interest. The prosecutor's office did strike out, as well as the importance of allowing members of the public to express their concern on matters of community interest. And the reason was, they took that out as a general reference to matters of community interest, because that could be used to claim that relevance extends to general matters of community interest above and beyond township business. So it's, just more of a direct way of saying something. In order to provide members of the public the opportunity to comment during open meetings in Lafayette Township Board of Trustees, the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees has implemented the rules of public participation outlined below, which apply to all speakers and do not discriminate based on the identity or viewpoint of the speaker. The intent of these rules is to provide fair and adequate opportunity to be heard, ensure the regular meeting agenda is completed, recognize the nature of the board's time and use it effectively and with efficiency, and establish order and an element of decorum. That's the opening to it, and other than that first line strike, there was nothing edited on there. Then the first rule is, anyone wishing to speak during public comment shall do so only when their turn is recognized by the board. All participants shall speak at the podium unless physical difficulty prohibits them from doing so, and state their name, organization if applicable, and address prior to presenting. I don't think there's any restrictions really involved with that one. And they had no comments or edits on that one. The second rule was, public comment shall not be frivolous or repetitive or harassing in nature. Speakers may not promote any political party or candidate at any level. Speakers shall not use obscene language. He did strike out, shall not use obscene language. I guess it's not up to us to decide what's obscene and what's not. You're right on that. So that's something would be taken out. And then he crossed out harassing in nature. And the comments were, prohibiting harassing or abusive comments that do not otherwise disrupt the proceedings is a very difficult line to draw. If the speaker is otherwise disrupting the proceeding, then it makes more sense to cut the speaker off for that reason than to cut the speaker off on the basis of obscenity. If the speaker is not disrupting the hearing, it is likely better to let them just complete their time and not extend it, which is fine. And then I would recommend against including a prohibition on obscenity. Again, trying to prohibit obscenity that does not otherwise disrupt the hearing is a difficult line to draw. So that rule would be changed to, public comment shall not be frivolous or repetitive in nature. Speakers may not promote a political party or candidate at any level. I mean,
I don't see I just don't see what you're accomplishing with that, with that rule, like, are we saying that if one person gets up and speaks on a topic, the next person can't get up and speak on the same issue?
no, I would say if some person is maybe saying the same thing over and over again, it's becoming repetitive. But we've seen that a time or two over the past year.
Yeah, but if you're gonna come, like, if it's an important issue and they wanna come to every meeting and say the same thing at
No,
every
no,
single.
I mean repetitive during the same speech. It's happened a few times. And you can come to every meeting and speak your mind on it. I see where you're going with that.
I just, again, I'm always gonna err on the side of less, I know the restrictions, just,
Right.
In general, only because you're gonna then have to enforce them if you're gonna put them in there.
Right.
And are we gonna cut somebody off because, I mean, look, we can make ridiculous examples, but I mean, if somebody wants to get up and read the phone book for 5 minutes, I mean, it's their right.
That's not relevant to township.
Well,
business.
but you get my,
I mean, that's kind of the frivolous stuff that it's pointless to have, right? That's a waste of
but
time.
who's ever done, as what
No, I
I'm saying,
know.
like, that's where I get with the whole, rules in search of a problem.
Right.
People that come because it's, like, their time's valuable to them too, so even though it might not be something that, I think is the most important thing in the world, it's obviously important to that person that they wanna come in and speak, so I would just strike that altogether.
The third one is each speaker will be provided, it was 3 minutes to speak. An extension of time may only be granted by majority vote of the board. You've given your input on that one. The courts have upheld a 5-minute time limit, but have struck down a policy with a 3-minute time limit, albeit on other grounds. The 3-minute policy would likely survive, but if there aren't many comments, there is some advantage to setting the time limit to 5 minutes, since there are cases specifically approving 5-minute limits. I would be willing to get rid of that one anyway too. You know,
I'm good either way, like, I mean, I'm not gonna argue about taking anything out. The only thing I would say is if we're gonna do a 5-minute, we just need to be consistent with it, and I would definitely take out the extension of time. Like, I think it's gotta be either we have a 5-minute
hard
time,
stop.
yeah, exactly, like, it's either you get your 5 minutes, or if we're gonna let people go over, then anybody that wants to go over, we let them go over. I just don't think you wanna ever be drug into court because somebody says, well, you've let other people go, but you didn't like what I was saying. Like, how do you prove that,
right?
you know, it wasn't selective enforcement, so.
Fourth one is no individual shall speak more than once during public comment unless granted the permission to do so by a majority vote of the board. There was no edits or comments on that one.
And the only thing I would add is, I just always get nervous about anytime we're not gonna let it be repetitive unless we're okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, if either nobody gets to speak more than once, or,
I would agree with that.
Okay.
you know, but I would definitely take out the, you know, our
Unless
ability to,
granted.
right.
Speaker shall, this is number 5, speaker shall only address the board of trustees as a whole and not individual board members. Speaker shall not address or engage in other meeting attendees. And there's no edits to that, but a comment was, these provisions tend to survive challenges but have significant risks of as-applied challenges. Though they need to be limited to the manner of address and not attempt to make the speaker not refer to members of the board by name. A speaker still has the right to offer criticism of individual trustees or township officials, though you can control how that criticism is offered. And that's absolutely true. Like, anybody has the right to come up and criticize, right? They should just be addressing the board when they do that, and they can criticize anybody they want.
Yeah, I think my adjustments on that would just be like, I'm okay with the speaker shall only address the board of trustees, and then, speaker shall not address or engage other meeting
Yeah.
attendees.
That's the same.
Look,
That's how.
Well, I know, but I guess what I'm saying is like that piece in there, like, look, if somebody gets up there and has I mean, we've had people here that have done it to each of us, you know, that have come up here and called us individually out for something. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, that's, again, you know, so I'm fine with them addressing us, and since it's our meeting and not, you know,
What you're saying is
other
the
things,
comment,
but.
the comment's true. The prosecutor's office, their comment is valid.
Oh, yeah,
But-
yeah, I don't think the prosecutor's guidance on any of these has been wrong. I just think that, and again, it goes back to the whole, you know, just because we can put a rule in place doesn't necessarily mean we need to.
Todd? Number 6, the board chair shall have the authority to terminate the presentation of any individual that does not adhere to these rules, or if any individual is abusive toward the board or any board member. The board chair may interrupt, warn, or terminate an individual's presentation if it is personally directed. Personally directed, abusive, or obscene. But he edited to read, the board chair shall have the authority to terminate the presentation of any individual that does not adhere to these rules. The board chair may interrupt, warn, or terminate an individual's presentation if that presentation is frivolous, repetitive, or irrelevant to township business, or is otherwise contrary to this policy.
On the surface, it sounds good. I mean, I think the thing there is, I mean, we don't need a rule. If somebody's disruption, like if it gets to the level where somebody's being disruptive to the meeting, we're gonna ask Lieutenant Markham to escort them out of here.
Right. And
Anyway,
that's another-
so, I don't have a problem. I mean, obviously, if it rises to that level,
Right.
I don't necessarily think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it needs to be there because we already have a solution to that type of problem. Plus, it puts the board chair in a tough spot where you're gonna be the one that's gonna get, you know, lynched for,
Yeah.
you know, cutting somebody off. And you're also gonna have, it's gonna have to be something that, you know, the law enforcement's gonna be willing to walk them out for, so,
Right.
you know.
Any documents or other materials presented by a speaker during public comment will not be accepted by the board and will only be included in the minutes by reference. And I had no props shall be used during the individual presentation, but he struck that out. And I was specifically referring to the underwear and the toilet paper incident several months ago. Apparently that's free speech.
Well, yeah, and I think, well, and to the documents and materials, so we had a resident that had put together, you know, her analysis of the finances through public records, and I think it was when we were doing the banking stuff. I don't know why we would discourage that. It doesn't have to be something, you know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they put that time and effort into putting information together for us, why would we push that away from them? That they can't use it, you know?
I think they can use it, and it's gonna be, included in the minutes by reference. It doesn't mean there's a, you know, someone comes up and gives something to us, we don't have to accept it and be expected to comment on it right away. Like that's.
Well, that's different than putting it in, like, I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't just make it part of the record.
I mean, without having seen it or taken, you never know how long.
Yeah, why? So, we have all the reports, we don't print all the reports that the department has put in get filed with the minutes, and
Right.
sometimes they're long. I mean,
Right.
technically, all the chief's,
Yeah, it's
you know, stuff is gonna
Right.
go in the official file. So I mean, I don't know why
Right.
we wouldn't put that in there. Yeah, sometimes it's gonna be ridiculous and, you know, off the wall type stuff, but, you know, the public has a right to see that. That's, you
or
know,
sometimes just patently wrong. I mean,
Well,
it's-
then it's our job to correct the record and put the information out there that's right, not stifle it from being shared. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, like, politics in this country is kind of off the rails from that standpoint, I get that, but at the same time, you know, a lot of what we feel is wrong information is, I mean, we treat so much that is actually opinion as being fact, and we all do it, so I'm not singling anybody out, but like, so who is it, who are we to be the arbiters of truth just because we're the elected officials? I mean, there is a certain level of truth to the saying perception is reality, as much as we don't necessarily like it, and it doesn't support our agendas and our positions, not agenda, but you know what I mean, like,
But there are things that are,
yeah,
that are
but
true
but-
and things that aren't true, you know.
the only way to have that dialogue is to put it out in the open and to have that dialogue. You know, stifling it and sheltering it away isn't the way to handle it, in my opinion.
When we get documents, they go in the minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're supposed to.
Right.
So, I mean, this statement is true, so, I mean, we do that.
What refer,
I mean,
We do accept them,
We do accept
Right.
them.
so why now make a rule that says we're not going to? I would just strike that one altogether.
okay. Number 8, all presentations or comments during the public comment period shall deal with township-related or fire district-related issues. I know you think they should be able to say what they want, but there's just
Well,
no
it's-
point in it.
It's not
what
so
it's
much,
for.
it's not so much that I wanna encourage people to just come up and talk about whatever, right? But where do you draw that line? Like, some stuff are fringe issues, you know, and if it's something that's important to one of our residents,
Right.
but maybe it's not, you
And I
know.
would not be inclined to cut them off if.
Well, right, but like, Jake break. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, or issues that are, on the state highways that we're just really, the only thing that we don't have control over,
Right.
certain things that our residents are gonna want us to advocate for, so technically, that's not really a
But it's-
township issue. Well, but that's what I'm saying, you get some
Right.
stuff that gets into that gray area, so do you wanna be the one that sits up here and is the arbiter of that gray stuff, like,
Maybe that falls on the board chair, whatever that may be. I mean, talk about having a ham sandwich,
Well-
nobody really cares about that, but I do get it, you know, the crosswalks, there was a.
Right.
That's, it's in the township, right?
It is.
Right, but I'm just saying, there's always gonna be some issues that
Right.
could go either way, so anytime that, you know, it's a place where there's gonna be that discretion used, I'd rather just let it go and we deal with it, you know?
Okay. Number 9, public comment is not a question and answer session. The board will not respond to comments made during public comment unless it becomes necessary to ask a clarifying question, to correct a factual error, or to provide special factual information. While the board shall have no obligation to respond to public comment, it may elect to do so. There was no edits on that one comment. There's nothing particularly wrong with this, but I would strongly encourage you to wait until after the speaker talks to respond, which I would do anyway. If you do respond, you need to be careful to be very limited in your responses. This again is a provision that may survive a challenge to the policy as written, but has a high risk for as applied challenges. The 5-minute period is filled with argument. If the 5-minute period is filled with argument between the trustees and the speaker may have an argument that they were treated worse, i.e. had trustees interrupting them because the trustees disagree. I fully agree with that.
Oh, yeah, it goes back to if we put a time limit in, then obviously any back and forth, you know, that we would have with a resident would not count against their
Right,
time. But
correct.
if there's no time limit, then ultimately, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the last 2, there's no edits or comments to them. The board chair may request any individual, including attendees that are not recognized to speak, to leave the meeting when that individual is disruptive or fails to observe reasonable decorum. Additionally, the board chair may request the assistance of law enforcement in this effort. We
It's
touched
already
on that.
established law, yeah.
The board is under no obligation to take any action or to vote or to otherwise consider any issues initially raised during the public comment period. The board may, at its sole discretion, take further action or direct staff to research subject matter. And that's it.
I don't know if that, I just don't know, that's kind of an already, like, does that even really need to be in there? You know what I mean, like, we kinda already handle it that way.
We can do that, right? And does it need to be stated?
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to be stated.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts stated as long as it's been practiced and the precedent's been set on how we do it.
I would like to implement these rules.
As originally written?
No.
Okay.
With the edits provided by the prosecutor's office. But if there's anything that, you know, really should be changed or you're not happy with, or.
I just highlighted the stuff that I had issue with, so you know my thoughts on it.
Right. I would do the entire introduction, the first rule. The second one, I mean, I'd be willing to strike that altogether. I don't like the idea of someone coming up and pitching a political party or a political candidate. I don't think this is the forum for that, but by the same token, it could be construed as township business if they represent.
Well, and like the last comment I'll make on it is, I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily like, but,
Right.
you know, that's neither
not
here
our
nor
house.
there, so, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna vote for putting any rules in, so, I mean, this one's on you too.
Right.
Sorry.
All right. But I would take out number 2. I would keep number 3 at 5 minutes,
With no extension of time,
with no extension of time.
because that's already in place.
Yeah. And I would take the, number 4, no individual shall speak more than once during public comment, unless granted permission to do so by the board. No majority vote, I think we should take out the,
Permission of the board.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I would leave it as is. The number
Well,
6.
You said 4.
I'm sorry, number 5 I would keep as is. Number 6, I would accept the prosecutor's edits to that one. I would accept the prosecutor's edits to 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11. There's no edits. Well, there's a typographical edit to 11, but I don't think we're gonna get a second from Justin.
No.
No, but that's okay, I mean, that's all right, I mean,
Well, I'll second it, I mean, that just brings it to a vote, so you motion, I'll second, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
well,
Go ahead.
I would be willing to accept it as long as we're using the recommendations from the prosecutors on the ones that they've commented on.
Oh, yeah, I think those kind of go,
Yeah, well, the motion was to remove number 2.
remove number
3 was, 5 minutes, and then take out the
Yeah.
extension, so
Yeah.
that covers the prosecutor's,
Yeah.
recommendations. 4 also removed the permission piece of it.
Yeah.
5 was the one that was as is, and the prosecutor didn't really recommend any changes, and then 6 and 7 were with edits, and 8 through 11 didn't have any edits. So to your point, Ty, the motion is for approval, you know, with the prosecutor's recommendations
Correct.
all done, and I will second.
Can I,
No,
can I ask
Sorry,
a question?
we had public comment,
All right,
but I'll talk to you after that.
okay.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-1. OTA conference. Just something that historically the trustees, fiscal officer, law director, sometimes fire chief, zoning inspector has always gone to. We've gone for the last few years. I think it's good. I don't think you might have
Well,
other ideas, but
Well, first off, I think we obviously register for the OTA conference, because the registration for everybody is what gives access to all of the online training modules and everything like that. So you have to be registered for the conference. So I don't think there's any question there. You know, I've brought it up before, I'm not 100% sure that it's, you know, all that important to actually attend in person, but at the same time, we'll also recognize the fact that I was unable to attend last year. So I will defer to you guys on that one at least one more year, with what you wanna do there.
I think it's well worth it.
I do too.
It's all about education and making us better at what we do and how we serve the public.
I'm just not sure that, you know, I don't know, can you, like, is there an example that you can give of something that you couldn't have gotten through the, you know?
Oh, the
online
classes are very informative, and, you know, and of course I do online as well, I'm sure all of us do. But the relationships you build, the conversations you have with more experienced trustees and fiscal officers around the state are just priceless.
They are, and there's team building involved too, you know, I mean, I got to know Laura and Bill a lot more than I did just when I first met them, by going down there and hanging out with them for a couple days, you know. Would you be able to come in January?
Yeah, I should be able to.
I mean, I think it would go a long way for the three of us to
Yeah, that'd be good.
hang out together, so. I'll make the motion to approve, registrations for, Columbus for the 3 trustees, fiscal officer, and zoning inspector. Including hotel.
Do we have a dollar amount that we've estimated this to cost?
Well, it's $170 per person for the
For the
conference.
conference,
Yeah.
right, but, you know, then we have.
And then, the hotel, we signed up, it's fully refundable, nothing's been even purchased yet, so, you should be getting the email from the hotel reservation to the fiscal email address.
Right, I'm just saying we need to
It's-
put a dollar amount
Right,
in approval,
it's,
so.
it's like $230 for a room per night.
Okay, and how many rooms are we getting?
5 rooms, so 10 rooms. 10
10
nights, yeah.
Chief, you didn't wanna go this year?
I looked at the list, and it's not really, it's.
Not your
okay.
vibe?
You're not helping, chief.
Sorry.
Yeah, see? That's all right.
No, that's true
My
though.
daughter's birthday.
We're building
It's not my
consensus
daughter,
here.
my wife's birthday, actually.
Brian,
Vice
that's
versa.
true though. There didn't seem to
It's
be a
not
bunch of cheap
sensitive.
stuff down there, and I was kind of disappointed.
Well, there's other training throughout the year for the Fire Chiefs Association and stuff that they do as well that's more specific to that, so. Right. Well, I think we need a dollar amount to approve.
The 170 and then the 230 times 2 times 5 is
And I don't know,
3,200.
I'm not sure if that 170 included the speech, the lunch on the last.
Yes,
That's
it,
it does?
yeah, it was 130 and then 40
40
for
for
the
the-
Yeah,
lunch.
okay,
So
so
So-
32.
So it'd be for all 5 of you, it'd be 850 for the entire conference.
Okay.
For the registration portion.
Mhm.
So like another 2,500 on the hotel,
Yeah,
and then there's gonna be some potential incidentals, whether it's
I'm sure.
parking or this, that, or
Yeah.
that, so do we need to prove like $4,000?
I would,
Yeah.
won't use it. but yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying like,
Yeah.
we need to have it approved if we're gonna do it, so.
Yeah.
Alright, I would, make the motion to approve $4,000 for the OTA Winter Conference 2025.
I'll second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff appreciation dinner this year. Historically, last few years anyway, we've held it at Williams on the Lake. Kristen's been working with the Oaks. I think we approved her to do that earlier this year, one of the meetings. I don't remember exactly when it was. She got a final to the penny cost today. Would we need to pay for it that night by a check or credit card?
Yeah, I think there was even a scan, like, that we can see.
Oh, is that, oh, okay.
And pay with the credit card.
Yeah, fancy.
But the total's $33,1362, and that's dinner, salad, roll, non-alcohol drinks.
How many people signed up?
We have
71.
71.
And it's 3,300, 1362.
That includes, that out the door, that's
That's
gratuity
gratuity,
and
yeah.
everything.
Right. Now, is that employees only, or does that include the elected officials?
That's elected officials, that's, and family members, spouses, children, if they're.
Because I guess my only question is, I know, you know, when Bill was working for the prosecutor's office, he wrote a legal opinion on the ability of us to use township funds for elected officials, extras like this. You know, I don't wanna get into what's been done in the past and what other townships do, but I'm not really sure that we can spend township funds on us,
We can.
We,
based on what.
They sent a letter earlier this year, I can forward to you, I don't know if it was Mike Lyons or me or the other guy, Ryan maybe, but they said that it's allowed.
Did they cite the Ohio Revised Code that allows it?
Let's see if I can pull up the email on my phone.
Cause, I mean, as far as I've been able to tell, and it's not something I like to make a habit of second guessing the prosecutor's office, there is no Ohio Revised Code that allows it. It's an employee benefit and perk, and so I mean, it's definitely, you know, something that we should do for the employees potentially,
think-
but.
well, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm just saying, like, elected officials are a different class, we're not employees.
I know, I think it came from Mike Lyons, though, if I remember correctly, now I think about it. And their opinion was that it was, appropriate expense.
I won't hold up the meeting, Laura, if you could send that to me, but yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out.
I'll move to approve the staff appreciation dinner.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, next up, amended ARPA resolution, again, last meeting, we had it drilled down to the last two line items, and had a lucky break, we went to order, the equipment for the picnic tables, and because of the bulk order we made, they knocked a discount off of it, so we got an additional, I think it's $520.50. So I reduced the picnic table line item and added that difference to the IT equipment line item.
Okay.
Just so we, make good use of every part we can of the ARPA funds.
No, that's great news, Chris. My question, I guess I was just thinking ahead, the IT, are we gonna try to use this to put the other two routers in?
We mentioned that last meeting, and then whatever is left, I think we can use that towards KGC's invoices.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be an installation cost for the two access points. He's been working with Rick, I think, to get wiring to them,
Oh, okay, good.
so,
I move to approve.
I offered it,
Or you did it? Okay,
You
I'll
second?
second, yeah.
roll call vote,
Rowley, yes?
Fullerton, yes.
and O'Neill, yes. So this would be resolution, 21, revised dash 2024.
Can you say it one more time?
Resolution number 21, revised dash 2024. And
Laura sent me the email.
oh, you found it?
Yeah, it was from Greg Bartow.
I was wrong.
Sent it to the three of you,
Thank you.
Did you?
and he does cite that Bill Larson in here.
Alright.
Not to be funny, do you want to re-vote on that, or you good?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I'm not changing any issue, I just,
Okay, next order is the amended resolutions for certification of tax levies. Laura, you've got that, you were gonna do these, right?
Yeah, the ones from the auditor, yeah.
So the township side, the overall amount is not changing, but because we voted last meeting to reallocate the millage, it's just directing $295,200 to general fund, which is up from, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, and $498,000 to road and bridge, which is a drop by the same amount, but the overall taxes are the same. So this would be resolution 18 revised 2024. And I'll propose it. Do we have a second on it?
yeah, I'll second.
A roll call vote?
Fullerton, yes.
Rowley, yes?
O'Neill, yes. So that resolution passes again. And then we have a very similar situation for the fire district side. This is not necessarily a reallocation of millage, but because the levy passed on election day last month, there's an additional $579,000 expected to come in. So I will I will offer to approve this resolution to be amended with that $579,000 additional.
Yeah, I'll second.
And this is resolution 14, revised dash 2024 FD. Roll call vote?
Fullerton, yes.
Rowley, yes?
O'Neill, yes? resolution passes as well. You have the originals Laura will sign?
Yes.
Okay. Next up, feeding Medina County. This is something that we donated to last year. We did SPCA and this. Any thoughts on it? You guys have both looked it over. I think,
Same as before, I mean, again, outstanding organization, I recommend people be as charitable as they can be. We have a lot of great organizations in and around Lafayette Township that do great work to support them. But if the township has money that it doesn't need to carry out the business we need, then we should be giving it back to the taxpayers, not donating it to charity. Just my take on it. Nothing personal against
Yeah.
feeding Medina County.
Ty?
I would agree.
I would agree too, so I guess if we don't have a second, we'll move on. Zoning Commission resignations,
We discussed those earlier, but we
Right.
did get resignations from Rich Dvorak and Mike Eaton. So we'll need to fill those terms, and then the expiring terms, Simon Bartos is interested in remaining on the board if we choose, and Diane Winslow does not.
I don't know if Diane's is running out, I don't know that we need to accept anything here.
Right, there's no resignation needs to be accepted, but I guess technically we should
Rich-
probably make a motion to accept the resignation for Rich Dvorak, and I just received Mike Means this afternoon, I'll forward it to you guys.
Okay.
So
Wanna
there's
read
3.
Two,
Oh, well,
Diane
2.
doesn't
Oh, not-
really need to
not- yeah,
resign.
okay, yeah. No,
Her
you're right,
term's
you're
just
right,
expiring.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 2 of them, okay.
So I will make the motion to accept Rich Dvorak's resignation as a member of the Zoning Commission, effective
December 31st.
December 31st of this year.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then I'll make the motion to accept the resignation of Mike Meaden from the Board of Zoning Appeals effective December 31st, 2024.
All those in favor, I should do a second.
I'll second.
Ty second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Resignations are accepted. Medina County Engineer, sale of materials to townships. Did you guys get a chance to read these?
Mhm.
Pretty routine, gives us the ability to get some materials through them for reduced cost. It's their resolution that they made, so I would make a motion for us to enter into the agreement with the Medina County engineer in order to purchase materials from them.
For next year.
For next year. Yeah, it runs from January 1st to December 31st, 25.
Yep, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. And the last thing is the, actually, that's original. You guys all saw the health department thing for our semi-public disposal. Make a motion to approve the $75 fee payable to the health department for that.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Anything else?
Not aye.
Actually, I did have one, and I didn't know whether to throw it under correspondence. I did receive a call from Sean Hudson, which kind of caught me a little bit off guard, because I didn't know, he had reached out, he wanted to sit down and discuss the possibility of representing the township.
Yeah, same with
And I
me,
guess
same with
you've
me.
each met with him, so I didn't know.
He met with me a couple weeks ago. He contacted me, and he had already talked with Ty.
Yeah.
Are we looking for a,
I just
Not
know
legal
he talked to you
representation.
too, as well. I mean,
no, he said that, but I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure, we've never had a conversation about
no,
needing additional
No,
representation, so.
no, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not, it's good to sit down and talk
Yeah.
with people anyway, so
I
yeah.
don't think we're looking.
I didn't have any special
Gotcha.
interest. If we do, I think he's pretty good
Oh, yeah,
person for it. If we have specific needs coming, I mean, that we think we would
Right.
need someone.
Alright.
I don't know, I know, I don't know what his role would be, for the comprehensive plan for next year or anything else, so I'm glad you
Yeah.
did bring that up, cause I forgot it.
I actually just asked Karen about it off the cuff, and she said she didn't think that we needed, council,
Yeah, I don't think we
additional
need-
council for
Well,
that.
no, and
So
if-
that was her opinion.
And I think if we do, just because of, I know Bill's kinda trying to step away and retire at some point, but, you know, I think when it comes to zoning type stuff, you know, he'd probably be the go-to
Yeah.
if we did need it, but again, I don't think we do. I just wasn't sure if you guys were
Just
thinking that we needed something.
I didn't have any
Discussed it
specific, needs, but since we're talking about, I mean, is there anything coming up that we would need some additional help? I know we're using Bill for zoning, and I'm not sure where he's at, if he's.
No, we've called, like I said, we've called, you know, he's fine, and he, like I said, we've called him in a couple of times when we've had specific stuff that he's been able to answer a question pretty quick, cause the one advantage that he has over the prosecutor's office is, the prosecutor's office represents 17 different townships,
Yeah.
17 different zoning codes, you know, and so every time you take an issue to them, it's like, well, send me all the pertinent pieces of your code and let me look at it, and they've got other things, whereas Bill usually, you know, hey, this, and he's like, oh, it's section, you know what I mean, like, he knows our code, so he's able to answer it in a much more timely fashion, so even though we're paying him by the hour, he usually gets the answer within the hour and significantly quicker than the prosecutor's office is able to turn it around, so, I think from that standpoint, as we get through this, hopefully this last push, you know, to kinda get the zoning stuff figured out, I think Bill meets our needs there, so when I got that call, I wasn't sure if you guys were thinking that there was some specific project or something that we needed.
And I-
Cause again, there are times where on a case-by-case basis, we may need counsel other than the prosecutor's office, it
Right.
just kinda caught me off
And
guard,
he
that
knew
was
we
all.
handed it at that time.
Right.
That's,
Sure.
Okay. Alright, that's all I had.
do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned, it is 7:54.
Everybody get home watching 3 and 8 Browns. That's what they
I
even
don't know.
playing tonight. Broncos.
How long did it take you?